So you just added people to the back end of Acuity, and what are your reflections?
My brain is a fried egg, and I know why it feels like this because it was so much of a new motor plan with my dyspraxia, and I used to feel like this all the time, and I just didn't know why, and I would just think, "Oh, there goes my brain again. It's just fried." So it's so nice to know now, um, like what's happening, and also for me to build my schedule appropriately so I can not continually be in this fried mode.
Thank you for sharing that. And I wonder, now that you have this lens of like, so like event, my brain is fried. Interpretation, the thing was not set up to work for my brain. And it's a new motor plan, and it's going to be that much more demanding, and it didn't work for me. Does that also then shift your narrative about yourself at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like so I took some notes on the new motor plan, and um I'm gonna type them up and then like paste it where I can see it on my wall. And then I'm gonna use that support so my brain doesn't have to think as much, and also like offloading it onto a visual support, like it just helps me be kinder to myself. And now I don't think, oh, my brain stinks. It can't keep all these pieces together. It's like, oh, I'll just use my support and there it is. And now I don't have to be so fried and tired.
That's
Yeah. So big
amazing.
difference. Yeah.
Did you know any of this about yourself like a year ago?
No,
So this is
no.
like a new phenomenon, right? So like the struggle
Yeah.
has always been there. And the
Yep.
like patterns of the struggle have always been there. But now you have this lens of like the thing is hard because it was a mismatch for my needs. It doesn't mean that I am broken or that my brain is broken or any of it. It's just like, yep, that's a mismatch. And now I have these tools about how I get my needs met.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. I feel like I don't have to beat myself up anymore having this new lens, thinking everyone is doing it better than me and my brain just can't keep it together.
So, we are having a conversation today about access needs and how does coming to learn about access needs in general and rewriting your story, how has that been life transforming? I see it at Brain Club um, every Tuesday. I see people sharing their stories and having language to explain their experience in a way that helps remove the shame and the ableism that so many of us grew up with. And
Mhm.
so I feel like having language is the first step to being able to, kind of rewrite your story and reframe it so that you can even know what your access needs might be. Because I think sometimes, people don't know what their access needs are. They just know that what is happening in their life is not working.
Right. And then not feeling alone in that. And when you hear somebody else talking about their access needs and you can relate to it, it builds connection and it builds safety and a sense of being seen and heard.
Yep.
It's
And
huge.
seeing that someone else has an access need just like you, and that access need isn't getting shut down like maybe it had been previously in your childhood. Like seeing that, oh, it's okay to have this access need and someone's just like me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the process of letting go all that shame and judgment that that is my access need and it's okay. Others have that access need just like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I think you need it modeled in order to even see what it might be. I think, again, I think sometimes it's like, things aren't working, but you're not sure why. And when you hear other people talk about their own access needs, it helps you, you know, identify your own. And I feel like that's what I notice at Brain Club every Tuesday is that, and being a part of this, interdependent team that we have at All Brains Belong, like we're constantly having this conversation about what our access needs are. And yeah, I think it's just it's really unique and really helpful.
I think in my 47 years of being on this planet, I'm still not even sure what my access needs are, and just being open to not knowing what they are. And because you've been doing things a certain way, probably your whole life, and made adjustments to it, it doesn't mean that it works. It just means that you do it a certain way. So it's a lot of unlearning, but in a very safe way. It's because without safety, it's hard to learn or unlearn, right? And that's what's nice about Brain Club is it's a safe place, or any groups, any of our groups, really. It's a safe place to kind of explore that and let your guard down and be vulnerable in a place where everybody is doing the same thing, or trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think the setup too, like I've never seen anything like Brain Club, the setup where you can come and just come with your video off, type in the chat, use mouth words. Like I think that really, for me, that creates a lot of safety. And like I never knew that I actually liked typing in the chat more than using mouth words. Like that's something new that I learned about my brain. And that's been really eye-opening because I always thought, oh, I like more one-to-one things and less bigger group things. But I think a barrier for me to groups is using mouth words, like knowing when to like come into the conversation and share, or like not wanting to step on other people's voices, or when they're sharing and stuff and just being really confused about all that. But the chat like opens up that door for me to share and feel like I can be a part of the group and feel like I can belong in a safe way for me.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think when you offer everything with a menu of choices, then suddenly it helps you get in touch with maybe what your needs are. Because I think, something that I've learned through All Brains Belong is, with 1 in 5 people being neurodivergent, there's a lot of people that don't realize that they could function better with certain adjustments. And when you offer, things as a menu for everybody, suddenly, people are able to say, I don't know, maybe I'll try that thing. And then it works really well for them and their brain isn't as exhausted at the end of the day. And it's like, so I think really like that kind of universal design principle idea of having lots of different choices for everything that you offer sort of allows people to tap into what their needs are.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm even blanking on what examples of what access needs might be right now.
Right?
I don't know.
I know
I
it's
don't know.
hard on the spot.
Yeah. But I'm also
What are
thinking about
examples of access needs? Yeah, I'm trying to think of examples. Sorry, go
I'm
ahead,
thinking
Olivia.
about how even like through our scheduling system where, you can text us, you can email us, having those types of options, you don't have to, you can use, the chat, or you can call us and leave a voicemail, or, that's pretty universal. That's a nice way. And that's not, you don't get that access anywhere else really. And then, having virtual or in person or outdoor appointments. Those are good examples. I'm sure there's lots more, but
Yeah, we're really talking about any way that you know, would be beneficial for someone to meaningfully participate in anything in their life, right? So that
Mhm.
there's a lot of possibilities for examples.
Mhm.
And I think what we were talking about yesterday, Sarah, about just sitting with others as stories are being shared, that there's so much power in that. And just, you know, coming each week, listening in, and um like hearing someone share, and then you think, wow, like that's how I relate to the world too, or oh, I didn't know like that was someone else's experience, you know? I thought it was just me, but like sitting and hearing the stories, it just makes you realize that you're not alone. You're not the only one.
Definitely.
And I think that I feel like that is one of the first steps to realizing, oh, like someone else has a story like me. I feel like that's been the first steps for me to be like starting to rewrite my story when I hear other people's stories and they're similar to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think when we're working in systems that we know aren't necessarily built for us or aren't built for anybody necessarily, um, there is such that temptation to be like, oh well, you know, the system's just broken and it doesn't matter what I do and everything's just gonna be broken. And that overwhelm of feeling like you're like just hitting your head against the wall over and over again, the like nothing's ever gonna change, that feels like for me, that feels like the most dangerous part of overwhelm, because that's the burnout of this is never going to change. And and having that framework of my access needs aren't being met, and I'm learning what my access needs are and I can advocate for them better. I think that does make a difference.
Totally makes a difference. Because it's almost like the alternative, you know, in the shame spiral of like, here I go again, nothing's ever gonna be different, you know, like there's this other layer that's further draining my battery of like, there's something wrong with me that I got myself in this situation, and like, how did I get in the hole again?
Yeah, I think that's true, because I think it really is tempting to just have that like, well, I don't even want to like have that framework or think about that, because if it's my fault, then I can change it and there's something I can do and there's more actionable steps, versus if this is my access needs aren't being met and it's this whole system thing, that seems scary because it seems harder to change. But it still is an important framework to have of its access needs. It's the system, not it's whatever, just not meeting my access needs. Yeah.
Like, I think for me, when I'm overwhelmed, there's this sense of like, that there's nothing I can do about it because the world is overwhelming and everything sucks and everything's hard. But what's new is now that I recognize that overwhelm usually means my access needs are not being met, that that provides me a framework for understanding why everything's so overwhelming. And even if I mean, there are some things I have agency and privilege to address in that regard, but even if I don't, just knowing that that's why I feel so terrible, as opposed to this like nondescript weight of overwhelm, I don't know, it feels different. Do you ever feel that?
I feel like it feels like the difference between like, oh, I feel like I've been talking to so many people about housing this week, and like, oh, I can't find any housing options because there's none out there and none of them are affordable, versus I can't find any housing options because I'm not trying hard enough, I'm not making enough money, whatever that looks like. It really is that that like social model, that social
Mm.
model.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like when my brain does not perform in the way in which I am expecting it to perform, it's like the initial like right now, even like I'm having like a hard time like sequencing my thoughts and connecting them in order. But like there's nothing wrong with my brain. My brain's just really overwhelmed. It's got too much, it's doing too much stuff, and like something's not working for it. Like that's new. That's like a new narrative.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was seeing that when I was thinking about like how I write notes, and when I write notes, and how if I'm writing notes at 8 or 9 p.m., it takes me a lot longer to write each note. And that is that makes sense, and that's understandable, and that's okay. And that's not that my brain's broken. It's 8 or 9 p.m. My brain's tired, and it's understandable that it's going to take longer to do things than at whatever time of day my brain's feeling the best, I guess.
Right. And knowing that when you have access to your cortex to be able to even like think about, oh, I could actually make a plan. Like making plan is like this higher order brain skill. So like planning what tasks I do at what time of day, like it actually takes access to your cortex to even be able to have that thought. But if you don't even have language to even know that you might want to even think about making a plan like that, that you actually could feel a little better if you knew what exactly was thwarting you.
Even like, I think as for us as providers, we're talking about burnout every single day with people, and we're talking about how to prevent burnout and how to work on it. And that doesn't mean that we're not separate from. I've been reading or listening on book Trauma Stewardship. And I think the part where they're talking about like feeling like you have to keep going because this is such important work and there's nobody else who's going to do it. And like, I guess I don't know where I was connecting that, but that like I think that part of burnout, of like, I feel like I should know this, and I feel like I should be able to prevent this because I've been here before and I know how bad it is and I've gotten out of it before. Like I should know better. Um, but you don't have to take on that guilt of it's because of me.
Yes. Every brain has a finite capacity, and every brain, when its capacity is exceeded by the demands of your life chronically, is going to start shutting down into burnout state. It's self-preservation. It's really about naming about having a framework for understanding that. And because like when you understand that and you have a framework for that, you know, the story you tell yourself about it
Yeah.
changes.